On today's The Denver Sports Podcast, we got the Rocky Mountain Showdown this week. CU, CSU. We're going to talk about what's at stake for Colorado State, Coach Prime, everything else that comes with it. That's coming up on TDSP. Welcome into another episode of the Denver Sports Podcast. We're here on a Friday. I'm Harrison Wind, and I got the fellas with me. First up, Mitch Carroll.
Let's go.
What's going on, man?
Great to be back. Just spent 4 days up in the mountains.
Yeah?
No cell phone service.
Where'd you go?
Rocky
That's
Mountain
Christian
National
Saez
Park.
over there on the far right.
Wild Basin,
Or far
Rocky Mountain
left.
National Park. Went 8 miles up a mountain, fly fished, hiked. No phone.
Dude, that sounds like heaven, man.
And then I come back here and I'm ready to rock.
Why
Let's
are
talk
you
some-
back? I would have stayed out
You
there.
know, I thought about it and definitely thought about it. But we got too much to talk about.
Too much.
I can't miss a whole week of news.
I know,
4
man.
days was enough.
You missed a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, the Rapids are back. I heard.
Rapids are back. Pids are back. Rams are moving conferences.
I know.
The Trump saying crazy stuff. There's all sorts
The
of stuff
debate.
going on.
There's trucks on the field
There's
at
trucks on the
Folsom.
field?
Like, what are we doing?
I know. We got a lot to talk about with the Rocky Mountain Showdown this week. Colorado State. I'm hyped for it. We'll talk about what's at stake. But we were talking about this before we started the show, and I got to bring it up. My morning routine was all thrown off this morning, so I'm sorry if I'm a little off on today's show.
What happened?
So there's a Starbucks close to the office here on Colfax, and it's closed. It's been closed temporarily those last few days, and I'm just thrown off.
So
My
are you
morning
getting your
routine
coffee?
Is thrown off.
Are you like making your own coffee now, or are
No,
how-
I'm just going without coffee.
Oh,
That's
jeez, that is
insane.
I'm going
pivot.
without it.
That is a crazy
Toughing it
pivot.
out.
that feels way too like black and white. You know, like
Yeah.
if I can't get it from here, I'm not getting it at all.
Well, I just can't. I can't muster up the strength to go into the Starbucks that's next to my house. It's not a drive-through. I have to actually go in. Can't muster the strength to do that. I need a drive-through.
Would you sit if you drove up and you saw there was like a 20-minute drive-through line?
Yeah,
You would sit through that
Yeah.
over walking in.
probably. Yeah,
Jeez.
That's
I'm a
wild.
sucker for a drive-through. Everything should be a drive-through.
That's fair. I mean, I understand it's convenience too.
Yeah.
And you get to, you don't have to be around a ton of people. That helps. But at the stake of not having coffee at all, I lose you on that one.
Could not.
Yeah.
Could never be me.
My favorite drive-through is the liquor store drive-through.
I know. Yeah.
Because
We
you
know
don't
that.
even have to get
Yeah.
down there, and it's just very quick.
Yeah.
They know all the bottles. I'm like, give me the best bottle you have for $20, and you don't even have to worry about
And it's
it.
like
That's your order?
7 in the morning.
Best bottle for $20.
Best bottle for $20, and
That's a great order.
and a 5-hour energy shot, and I'm good to go.
What an order! What an order!
What a call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
But anyways, that Starbucks down there. I don't know if you guys go there. It's closed temporarily all the time.
I mean,
it's the worst Starbucks ever.
I've worked on this block for almost a decade.
Yeah.
Or this little stretch of Colfax here. So yeah, I mean, I've hit that a lot. I make my own cold brew now.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Oh yeah.
A self brew.
Self cold brew. It's
Self-cold
easiest.
brew.
It does itself. You just
Yeah.
put it and it sits there and you don't have to do anything. It's passive.
So it's like a lukewarm brew?
No, you put it in the fridge when it's done.
Okay.
So,
So you do.
pre-made cold brew.
Yeah,
that
just
you
put that in the cup.
fridge, yeah.
Drive to work.
Hmm.
Done.
Do you guys have morning routines?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go beyond the morning routine thing. I make the comparison to what you were talking about. Marissa and I have this Chinese restaurant in Gunnison where we both went to college.
Yeah.
Greatest Chinese food I've ever had in my life. And it is our routine every time we go back, which is like once a month sometimes. We go back a lot. We have to go to this place. And I kid you not, the last 6 times we've gone back there, it's been closed for like different reasons too. Like little mom and pop shop. They're going to move their kid into college. Closed. They're
I kind of
on
love
vacation.
that. Yeah.
Closed.
Not for you, but for them.
It's been miserable. Like I've been tempted to like send their owner an email and be like, dude, I need to have your combination fried rice more than just once a year. I haven't had it in like 6 months. Like, can you send me your recipe? So that's my routine. It's not a morning routine, but I feel all out of whack. I haven't had Double Dragon combination fried rice in 6 months. It's killing me.
So this is the type of place that doesn't go by their hours posted on
Absolutely
Google.
not. You just, I mean, and it's the perfect college place because like they'll be open till like midnight. You just walk in, kind of like after a night of early pre-gaming or something like that. You get like a ton of rice and chicken and steak and eggs and everything like that.
Oh,
and
so
it's like
Chinese
$5.
food is also a peak drunk
Yeah,
slash
so good.
hungover food.
It might be one of those things because I will say when Lindsay and Brandon went and we had hyped this place up and they tried it, and Lindsay was like it was good, but like it wasn't like the best in the world. I feel like maybe Marissa and I have this experience of like we would go there as like peak drunk food, so maybe that helped kind of shape our tasting experience of it. Was like we just have these amazing memories there. But it's still premium, great drunk food, great college
But it's
food.
a college memory too.
Yeah.
Places you went in college just holds
A whole different value.
Put in a higher tier than everything else for the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
like
my
there's
routine that
places
was
in
thrown off.
Boulder that I take people to and they're like, "This is terrible," and I'm like, "What are you talking?
What's
about?"
fun?
Yeah.
Like half-assed.
Oh my! Someone didn't like half-assed.
Yeah.
Tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Yeah.
is wrong with people?
Well,
Half-assed
I mean,
rules.
I could take a step back and say it's not like the sandwiches are the best sandwiches ever.
They're good though.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're good. They're
It's
good.
the pitchers.
It's the pictures, the ambiance,
Correct.
The vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's that kind of thing.
I love it.
Do you have a morning routine?
Oh yeah. Well, one, my dog
Or
wakes
a
me up at the
routine?
same time every morning, anyways. So you
Okay.
let the dog out, pour some cold brew. I pretty much have the same breakfast every day.
Good.
I make overnight oats. It's super easy.
Dude, you're way more routine oriented than I thought.
It's like my whole life is routine.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to function otherwise.
Okay.
My brain is too. I'm too ADD to not have a routine.
Yeah.
It would be chaos.
Okay. What else?
And then walk the dog. Depending if it's gym day, hit the gym. Come to work.
There you go.
Easy.
All right.
Never change.
What about you, Yair? Do you have a routine in the morning?
Yeah, we've been waking up at 5 in the morning for the last year
What?
or so.
Year.
Like, yeah, it's been about a year now. We try to go in, get a workout in, just something to get the endorphins going a little bit.
Dude, I'm proud of you, man. Do you get your like morning
I'm such
sunlight?
a lazy
Yeah.
piece of crap, man. I am such a lazy piece of shit.
you are.
So,
5 a.m.
yeah,
I'm with you guys on that. Marissa and I are the same way. 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
I
And
go
like,
to the
time
gym,
work out.
Go to the gym, make breakfast, walk the dogs. That's my before I come into work by 9.
That's literally what I do. But I have to but then like the 2 hours before 9 o'clock, I create the show, any graphics that are needed for the
Yep.
day, and then I go in and take a shower and get ready to come.
Yeah,
here.
you sent me my graphics at like 6 this morning. I was impressed.
Yeah, like that's usually how it is. I get up early,
crazy.
go do workout, and then come back and get work done, make breakfast, and then continue with our day.
What time do you guys go to bed?
10,
10.
10:30.
11 midnight.
Yeah, depends on the day.
I need minimum 6 hours.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
It sounds like you have a child at home. Like it sounds like
Yeah.
I would have thought that you would have been the I'm up at 4 a.m. every day with my kid. Just
Well, she's been getting up at 4, but then going back to sleep.
okay. Well, that helps. That's
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah, there's a thing called a twilight feed where they wake up but they're still tired. But they wake up because they're hungry or they went to the bathroom. But you feed them and then they pretty much go right back to sleep.
I actually had a phase of that in college too.
Yeah.
Just personally.
Yeah,
Where I
first
would wake up
a
and,
twilight feed at 21 years
at
old.
21 years old.
Yeah.
Be like, I need some food at 2 a.m. right now,
Right.
and then I can go back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, glad we got that settled.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds like you need a routine.
Dude,
Is what I'm hearing.
I think I might.
We need to get Harrison a routine.
Other than going to the Starbucks at
Yeah, that
Colfax,
is no
that's
longer
closed.
a thing. Oh
It's
man.
my only part of
His
my routine.
life is in shambles right now.
It really is.
That's
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. Wow. All right. That really turned on me.
That's okay. We'll rally.
You'll
We'll
learn
rally
something.
right here. We'll rally.
Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Let's go.
This weekend. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Crazy.
In Fort Collins.
That's right.
What are your guys' feelings? Are you excited?
Yes.
Antsy? What are we thinking?
No, I didn't go to CU, but my sister went to CU. I went to games growing up as a kid. Been a Buffs fan forever. Rocky Mountain Showdown's always hits.
Yeah.
And I'll be at the Rapids game on press row next to Braden Nurse, who's the Denver Post writer for the Pids, and he just graduated from CSU. And we sit next to each other at the game, and we will be game and one screening, I guess, locked in absolutely 100%.
I'm a CU guy. I went there. You're CU. What are you, Christian?
I mean, I say that I'm a neutral middle. I'm a
Nice.
mediator,
Nice.
because I don't have direct ties to either. Marissa and I went to Western Colorado, out in the middle of the mountains, and her dad went to CSU, so I could technically say that like we lean CSU.
You could.
But I also have this feeling of like, I just can't get over the fact that like I'm still not fully coming to terms with the fact that we have college football rivalries back already. It feels like it's still the middle of summer. And so it just like the fact that we have an incredible rivalry game tomorrow gets me all sorts of fired up. And I think the fact that CU has been able to create this hype around their team, and CSU has been able to match that from a playing standpoint, and how crazy that rivalry game was last year.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped. Like I'm just happy. I'm one of those guys that's like, I'm just happy to be here. I
Yeah.
get to be witness to this. Like that's a cool moment.
I'll watch any college football rivalry game, like for the record. Like I'll watch Montana State if it's on.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I'll watch
It's a
any of
great
that
game,
stuff.
by the way.
College football is clearly the best sport for rivalries,
Yes,
right?
100%.
Yeah, it's the
College
greatest on TV
basketball,
product.
There are some great ones, but it feels like there's just more and like more significant ones in college football.
Absolutely means more. It just
Yeah.
means more.
The rivalry games are like March Madness. Like when you get like those March Madness games, Sweet 16 and below, where it's like you're going down to the wire every single game. That's how these rivalry games feel from a football standpoint. It's not
Yeah.
like a tournament. It's this game is hopefully going to be like it was last year, where we're just throwing haymakers until someone finally gives up in overtime.
Yeah, until 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yes, exactly.
That's what happened last year.
Yeah.
That game last year was, it's what the rivalry needed,
I
right?
know.
Like,
Yeah.
the fact that it's back on campus,
Which is so great.
Yeah.
I
Right?
hated the game played at Broncos Stadium. I hated
Yeah.
it when I was there.
Even though they
Yeah.
sold out, I mean, it's still not the same feeling.
Having it on campuses is so much better.
It adds that intensity. I was in Lincoln last weekend. I drove out with the DNVR Buffs crew and did the whole thing. And like you said, there's an atmosphere to it that means you can feel it. Like I parked, I had to walk 20 minutes, and like I barely passed anybody. Like I was kind of going towards the stadium, and literally the second you start seeing some fans, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
And then you're outside the stadium if you're drinking or whatever you're doing to get ready for the game. It's like there's a buzz to it. There's an antsiness to it where it's like this means something. And especially now after last year, after kind of the stuff in the media over the last week, some of the quotes from CSU players, and I'm sure there's a million quotes from CU guys. That's just kind of how that's been. Like how much better could you set this up?
Well, and I would make the argument too that, not to say that like a team like CSU doesn't care about any games after this, but if you go in at Canvas Stadium tomorrow and you beat arguably the most hyped up team in college football, like you just won your season. I don't care what you do after that. That is the greatest moment of your season. And I know, Coach Norvell is going to say, yeah, I don't know, like every game matters. But like on the inside, CSU fans know this is their Super Bowl. Like this is the Super Bowl. And that's not also giving credit to CU either. Like that's just what rival games are. Rivalry games are and should be one of the most important games on your entire schedule, if not the most important game on your schedule.
Yeah. It's kind of also CU's Super Bowl in a way, because I think if CU loses this game, the season's done.
Yep, totally.
It feels like there's less at stake for CSU in that regard, but just because in general, everything is at stake for CU right now. The future of this era, it feels like, is kind of at stake. But I feel like if CU doesn't win tomorrow, it's over. But I love the games being played back on college campuses. I've been to like games in Boulder, in Fort Collins, and at the Broncos Stadium. It's so much better. on campuses. It's so much better.
Yeah. Oh, well, and there's that energy that's intangible, that's different than if you play it off campus. But I also feel like, too, I mean, it's like because the CSU side of this knows that CU this is a must-win game for CU, it makes it that much more intense because you have the opportunity not only to go beat a rival, but to potentially like behead your rival, like to dethrone that team, and like, I mean, like, let's be real, like this, you're right. Like it would put, I mean, CSU has beaten UNC, which they were expected to easily win that game. And then they lost to an insane Texas team. Okay, like, so, CSU is kind of a clean slate going into this game. CU is the one that has all the questions. Like, I think this is a huge opportunity for CSU to go and put a statement game out there in Canvas Stadium.
And, this rivalry doesn't come back until 2029.
Really?
Right? So 2029 and 2030.
Yeah.
And then you don't play again until 2033, I think.
Do you know why?
So it's just, these games get planned way, way far ahead, right? All these non-conference games are planned
like 5 years,
5 or plus more years ahead. So they signed a deal for 8 games over 18 years, right? And none of them are at Mile High. They're all going to be on campus.
That
Those
seems
are going
like
to rotate.
2 completely random numbers.
Well, so that includes. Well,
yeah,
I don't know exactly how or whatever.
8
but
games over 18 years.
Well, so they already played 2 last year, or they played 1 last year, and then this one count as the first 2.
Yeah.
They don't play again until 2029, and then it's almost every year through the. Or not every year, but
there has to be a way to move that around, though, because I mean, you look at how much attention that you've gotten from the game last year, the game this year. Like it feels to me like there's got to be a way to shift that. I don't know what the legality
I feel like
to
we
that
need to
is.
write it into Colorado law that they have to play every year.
Yeah.
Should be a
I mean,
law.
Washington State and UW, when they had the whole, conference realignment, UW and Wazoo came out immediately and were like, we're still doing the Apple Cup every year, no matter what. Like, we're not going to get rid of that.
And they're doing it non-conference this year.
Yeah.
They're playing it this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so curious about that. Like, to me, CU Nebraska was always like, that was the Friday after Thanksgiving. It was like Rocky Mountain Showdown was every year too, and that was important, right? And then all of a sudden, conference realignment, you lose both. Like losing the Nebraska game was almost bigger to me than losing the CSU game. And so, I do wish there was more of a commitment that, whatever you play, maybe a team a little worse than North Dakota State, right? Because they're pretty good. Maybe you're playing like some directional school from somewhere, and then it's CSU and Nebraska, and that's your schedule every year. Like that's what it should be to me.
I know, man. Like that's what non-conference should be for.
Yeah.
Playing those rivalry games.
And especially when you get the attention that you get from those, that's the biggest thing. Is I'm like, make people want to watch. Like, do I want to watch CSU UNC? Not really.
No.
Like not entirely, but CU CSU, yeah, 100%.
All right, let's hit a break real quick. We'll get back to more CU CSU talk on the other side. First though, Empire Today. If you guys have any flooring needs, you gotta check out Empire Today. They did the floor in these studios. And there's a lot of moving parts in this studio. Couches move, chairs move, tables move. I gotta say, the floor has held up pretty well. So if you have any flooring needs, home, business, whatever it might be, hit up Empire Today. Nobody beats them on quality, service, and speed. A lot of people advertise, low quality products. They don't carry those. Like, they don't do low quality stuff. They're the best in the business. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. They have a virtual floor designer. That's a great way to see how new floors look in any space without obviously putting them in. You just snap a picture of where you're putting your floors, and they'll show you how the floor you want will look there. So it's an awesome tool that helps people a lot. Schedule a free in-home estimate today with Empire Today. All listeners of this show get $350 off when they use the promo code DNVR. It's a huge discount, $350 off when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. Also, check out Factor Meal Kits. Hey, this could be a part of your morning routine, especially if you're busy. Get up at 5 a.m. like Yair, Christian. Pop in a Factor Meal Kit. There you go. That's a great way to start your morning.
That is.
35 different meals to choose from, more than 60 add-ons to choose from every single week with Factor Meals. You can crush your wellness goals this fall with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can absolutely trust. From breakfast to dessert, stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Restaurant-quality meals, and these things are really good too. I've tried them. You just pop them in your fridge, then when you want one, poke a couple holes in the plastic, put in your microwave, 2 minutes, ready to go. They're not frozen. They taste great. They taste fresh. Go to factormeals.com/DNVR50. Factormeals.com/DNVR50. Get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code DNVR50, factormeals.com. All right, back here on TDSP. Harrison Wind, Mitch Carroll, Christian Saez. Did you guys see what happened at Folsom Field last night?
Yes.
Amazingly, yes.
Come on.
Some
I thought it
dude,
was a joke at first. I saw it and I was like,
drove
there's
his
no way.
pickup onto the field.
The jokes write themselves, right? Like, see, you can't stop anyone from driving
Yeah, I
down
was
the
going to
field.
say, I mean, those Twitter comments were incredible.
Yeah, the Buffs will not have the worst drive at Folsom Field this year.
I don't even know
so
how
good.
it got there. Like, it isn't the whole back wheel, like, not...
I am impressed actually that they were able to like think about the other stadiums. Think about, I'm looking, from my own beat, like Coors Field. Like I don't think there is a way that you can just drive without going through like 50 different gates.
Right,
To just
yeah.
drive onto the field.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible that he was able to get onto the field.
The thing about how Folsom Field is set up, there's really just one gate,
Yeah.
I
Right.
think, that's separating it from an actual street.
Yeah. Are we surprised this hasn't happened already? Is it that I feel like that this might have happened before. Yeah, that was impressive. Also, I saw with the official police report that the guy got charged with not having insurance.
I think it was a hit and run, too.
Bro.
And he ran into Folsom Field.
I mean, only the most, watched facility on campus, but whatever. But not have insurance after doing that, and he was hit with another charge of causing damage upwards of over $200,000. He's going to be paying that back for a hot minute.
Look at the picture of him without a shirt.
Yeah.
Love it.
At that point, you have to embrace it. Like, he's totaled his truck, which looked like it was looks like an old Chevy Silverado. It looks like my mom's old truck, so maybe
It's not a Toyota. And we
It's
are in
not?
the Toyota Lounge, of course, driven
That's
by
right.
your Front Range
Yes.
Toyota stores. Toyota,
Well,
the
if this was a
official vehicle
Toyota, that truck
of
would be in
DNVR.
perfect shape still.
Well, I would say owners of a Toyota would never do that.
No, we would never
You
do
know,
that.
Us Toyota owners are of a different caliber of human.
And
Yeah,
if
we're
they
important.
did, it would be, there'd be no dents. It would be clean. I'm impressed that the truck was able to make it out that far after going, because you also see those gates. Those gates are thick metal gates. Like they're, you can see through them, but they're not like chain link fence either. Like you have to drive through a barrier or two
Yeah.
before you get there.
That's amazing.
It is
Honestly,
impressive.
the wherewithal on this guy to leave a scene of an accident and end up on Folsom Field, you had to be thinking about this. This is not the first time he thought about getting his truck on that field.
There's no
He
way.
had to know where he was going.
But
for
also, if you're gonna do
Like,
it,
had to.
If you're
I know.
going to do it, why are we not doing donuts? Unless his truck physically just died.
Well, it looks like
Why
he
are we
lost
not-
a wheel.
Okay, so maybe he
Back
did.
right
But
wheel looks.
I've got my foot down on the gas. If I'm in that position, my foot's on the gas until someone drags me out of that truck. Like I am getting the most out of that.
I know. Like I'm ruining the field.
Yeah.
Honestly, and you didn't even get charged for breaking and entering. You got charged for not having insurance.
Well, he got charged for a million other things. That was
Yeah.
just one of
Hit
the
and
charges.
run, reckless driving.
Yeah, he got charged for trespassing. I mean, he's going to have a nice little hefty fine waiting for him when he gets out
Do
of
you
jail.
think the truck was called Ralphie?
I saw some good Ralphie jokes thrown in there too.
that truck made it further down the field than Ralphie has all year.
Are we? Can we acknowledge the fact that Ralphie's slowed down a bit this season?
Well,
Ralphie's?
she's actually running farther than last season.
Okay, but she doesn't seem to have the same vigor that she's had in previous years.
Well, so last year was her first year,
Yeah.
if I'm correct.
That's
young,
right.
Correct.
young, new buffalo. I mean, come on, what's a buffalo like? Really, how many buffaloes are ready to go in front of 50,000 people?
She wasn't ready for the spotlight.
Right.
She
It's
was,
tough.
yeah, she's,
That's hard.
Maybe she needed to redshirt freshman, her first season. Then
Dude, I have a story about this Ralphie, actually. I don't think I've told this before.
Whoa, insider.
This is kind of breaking news, actually. So I was at a restaurant in Boulder the night of CU USC a couple years ago. This was in her first year, so last year.
Yeah, it had to be last year.
Yeah, last year. And the owner of the farm where Ralphie came from was sitting at the table next to us.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did they talk to you at all, or just it was just a sitting next to each other type of
So
thing?
we overheard them during dinner, and afterward I went over and talked to him. I was like, "Oh, I went to see you, yada yada yada," and he was like, "Yeah, we own Ralphie, yada yada yada," and then he said, "Like, yeah, she clearly wasn't ready or something."
Whoa.
Like he was
Clearly.
he was pissed that like she didn't live up to
He
expectations.
probably had the highest expectations out of anyone in that stadium. That guy probably was like, dude, this like nervous, like
Yeah.
this better work, this better go well.
It was like a father being upset at that their son or daughter, didn't perform well.
Yeah.
Well, like they literally have like photographers are like at the 50-yard line. Like they're not worried about a full sprint down the field like they used to have because they know that she's going to run slow. They can turn
Yep.
her, and it's like 30 yards and in.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Ralphie. There'd be like 2 handlers left by the time Ralphie used to get in the trailer.
That's what I mean.
Oh,
It's a different
Cowboy
vibe.
hats flying,
People falling down.
Yeah.
Someone getting skewered, I mean, it's just it was a whole different type of energy. I do think it's one of the cool traditions in college football, and I say that from the outside looking in, like I said, not related to CU or CSU as a fan. Seeing the Texas Longhorn come out of the tunnel, what's scarier, like Ralphie in his prime, like big Ralphie that we just said would like blow through 50 people, or that Longhorn that's horns are literally the size of this room and look like spears at the end? What's more intimidating to you?
I love Bevo, man. But I think cows are awesome. I
That-
love
that's-
the
it-
horns.
I
gotta
love
say
those.
it's awesome.
I had cows growing up.
Okay.
Any
So-
cows with those?
No, we didn't have longhorns. We just
Okay.
had dairy cows. But the longhorn is so sick.
I have to agree. Like, I love a good bison buffalo type of run out, but it's a longhorn to me.
Yeah,
But does the Longhorn, it just walks out?
It just walks.
yeah, it just hangs out.
It's hefty though, man. Like
Yeah.
that thing is huge.
They're just hanging.
I mean, Prime Ralphie was a different beast.
True.
Maybe you could argue from a football standpoint, like Ralphie gives off more like I'm just a running back, plowing through the
Right.
50-yard line,
Running out behind.
Yeah, where like that makes more sense than just like a Longhorn kind of moseying out onto the field and just having a huge set of
Yeah.
horns.
The Longhorn is like a quarterback. It knows what it has, right? It's just gonna go out there. I'm big. I'm bad. That's all it is.
Sure, unless you're Russell Wilson, then you're not big and bad.
Short and bad.
Sure.
Very close.
I don't know if you guys have seen the latest trash talk coming out of CSU before this game. Can we cue that
I feel like
up,
that's
Yair?
happening every single day, every single time I check my phone.
So this quote that a friend of the show, Romy Bean, put out, apparently this was said before the season, which adds a little different context to this. I actually haven't even listened to like the audio of this book. Can you play this, Yair?
We owed them one. And that's just something that's been sitting on everybody, mind since we came back from break. We owe them. And we walked away from that game, as, we kind of left it all on the field. I don't feel like we left it all on the field because we should have murdered them guys. And, they came out with that attitude as they were on top of the world. And this ain't no Cinderella story, so we coming for revenge.
Yeah, they came out with that attitude and thought it was going to be a cakewalk. They saw the reports, 27.5 points or whatever it was. And they got a rude awakening real quick. And I think it goes to show that the hype, the media train, all that, it only gets you so far. At the end of the day, you have to line up 11 guys against our 11 guys, and we'll find out who wants it more. And we'll see how far Instagram followers gets them.
We all came here to play football. So at the end of the day, the millions of followers and fans that they then produced and got and celebrities that then jumped on their side because of who Deion Sanders is. At the end of the day, Deion Sanders ain't playing. It's those players playing. So those players better back up on what they speak about.
So this was shot before the season, but I'm so happy it came out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Romy for dropping that this week. Way to just fuel the fire,
what a
Romy.
drop, man.
Yeah.
What a drop.
But also, like, I kind of agree with what they're saying. And again, I'm coming to this from an outsider's perspective, but like CSU was 3 interceptions away, or not throwing 3 interceptions away from probably winning that game. You know, and they could have, there's decisions of like, should you have gone for 2 at the end of that game? Like, the fact that they could have that conversation, it did shock the world. And it shocked CU for sure, even though CU ended up, walking away with the win. And so I agree with what they're saying. I don't think that was a 100% all-encompassing loss for CSU last year.
Moral victory season.
It was. It was.
Oh my God.
But I don't necessarily mean it in like, oh, it just made you feel good. I think it meant it in like, it did fuel your confidence moving into the next year, which is now.
Yeah.
I think completely the opposite.
Really?
Rude Awakening, they won. They won the game. That's all that matters in a rivalry game. You beat them.
It is, but I think they didn't
have a rude awakening. They won.
They just didn't expect to make it, to have it interesting. I mean, you heard him say it. It was 27-point favorites. Like,
sure, but
I think it was that was the rude awakening part of it, was that they didn't blow him out.
I think any rivalry game, no coach is going into a rivalry game saying, we're 27.5-point favorites. This is going to be easy. It's rivalry week.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
like,
It is kind of crazy.
a win is a win is a win.
Yeah.
Well,
After
that's,
what, 2 games,
that's
too?
Vegas's fault.
Yeah.
That's not Prime's fault.
Yeah.
That's Vegas's fault.
Do you believe?
I just look good for CSU. Honestly, like that's what you want. That's the mindset you want.
Oh, of course.
Right? That's you want going into a rivalry game. But it's kind of silly saying that they had a rude awakening when they won the game.
No, I agree that like that's what
and
matters.
the star players starred in that game too.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think it was, I'm talking from a CSU standpoint, because I agree. Like, 100%, it's a rivalry game. I don't care if it is the, closest game ever and you sneak out a win. You're right. Like, that is all that matters. I mean, from CSU's standpoint, like, they were able to make it interesting, and that is going to build their confidence. If you're going to take some nugget out of that game, you can use that to kind of leverage yourself off of saying, hey, CU, like, you thought you were going to roll us last year, and we made you sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
See what we're going to do this year.
Look, and not just that. So they have this going into it. They have the fact that they're moving to the Pac-12, right? Announced
Yeah,
this
huge.
week. This is going to be probably the most full canvas has ever been. I mean, you look at some of those home games last year.
Do they sell out?
No, they don't. Like, they have like nobody sitting in the top deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like empty.
Like an Oakland Coliseum
Yeah, we're
type
talking
of
like
vibe.
there was nobody at some of these games. So it's going to be a packed house for the first time. The stadium is right on campus. You have all this stuff online. You have, you have last year being a real game versus a blowout. I mean, the table's set. The table's set.
I would be stunned if it wasn't a close game.
Has to be.
Like you said, rivalry games are usually close. Just that's how they are, People tighten up a little bit, people get a little conservative here and there. It's a big game with a ton of pressure. I would be shocked if it wasn't a close game. The fact that the line was what it was last year was crazy.
What's the line now? Like 7?
I think it's 7.5, 7.5, or just 7.
Yeah. Yeah, which is actually, that is pretty tight. I just don't know what we're going to get out of CSU, because I think CSU has faced such drastically different opponents. You faced one of, if not the best, team in college football this year in Texas in your, opener, and got walloped, understandably, by a very competitive Texas team. And then you had UNC, who is better. I'm actually calling their game tomorrow. They're better this year than they were last year. Well, they lost every single game last year. So, well, so I'm saying I know a little bit about UNC. They're better this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
But they're still Northern Colorado. They're not going to be a CSU competitive team right now. They're still an FCS team. So I just don't know what we're going to get out of CSU, because they face such totally different teams in the past 2 games than we've seen. And I think CSU kind of is going to fall right in the middle of that, obviously. And so I don't know if CSU, are they going to be able to, up their game and continue to improve? Are they going to play down? Like, what are we going to get out of them?
They gave up, 14 points is 14 more points than I thought they should have given up to UNC.
That's kind of what I mean. Is like I don't
and
really
they got
know.
a punt return touchdown, so like, you know, it kind of like is even a little further than it probably should have been.
Yeah, 38-17.
But
was the
then
score.
again, you have CU coming off a humbling loss to a rival, where you really have to look in the mirror and say, okay, what's wrong with our running game? You know, how do we get some time for our quarterback? So it's like a relatively confidence boosting game on one end versus like a we need to get our stuff together game on the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, which one is more powerful? Which one is going to motivate the win more?
I just
right?
think this game would be so hard to actually write the odds for because you're right, both sides. Like, I don't know what we're going to get from CU either. I mean, CU just got stomped by Nebraska, and so it's just like I don't really know what we're going to expect from tomorrow's game. All that I care about is that it's a close game.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's normal, but like, especially even as a fan, like I want this to be interesting no matter what. And I think, you know, these teams have set the stage for this to be interesting no matter what happens.
Yeah. Let's hit another break real quick. I'll get
by
back
all
to you in a
means.
sec.
Let's break.
Let's break and we'll talk more on the other
Give
side.
us a breather.
We got a ton of events coming up here at DNVR. We're about to get into the busiest part of the sports calendar. Broncos already going. Nuggets and Avs on deck. Rockies still going.
Hanging in there.
Still going. CU, CSU football, of course. So we got tons of events at DNVR, of course. Broncos tailgate season is here. DNVR is the best tailgate in the city. Backlot of Sports Fan at 18th and Federal. You can even start the party here at the bar, take the bus from the bar to the tailgate, take the bus back from the game to the bar. Tickets are available for the tailgate for all home games. TheDNVR.com/events. Primo Hoagies, Breck Brew, Breck Distillery, Yard Games. Best view of any tailgate. You can get season passes to all the tailgates too. It's the best way to get ready for a Broncos game, absolutely. And we also have Buffs tailgates. DNVR Buffs tailgates at every home game at the old Ralphie's Bar parking lot, Arapahoe between 28th and 29th. You can hang with the DNVR Buffs crew, drink Breck Brew, more music, yard games, season passes available for that as well for just $200 for the remaining 5 home games. So if you don't have a tailgate you go to, even if you do have a tailgate you go to, come to the DNVR tailgate. It's a great time.
It's the best.
Also, Rapids
Tomorrow,
teaming up with C38 to take over Dick's Sporting Goods Park on a Saturday night.
Oh,
That's
Portland
gonna be
too.
great.
Yeah, knows. Portland has been.
You guys are both going to be there, I assume.
They've outscored the Rapids 8-1 this year in their matchups. It's a huge game in the standings. It's a big one. It's gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, and there's a drone show after too, and the drone show is sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is.
Love a good drone show.
We
It
gotta
is.
get people in the door,
why
baby.
wouldn't you go?
The drone show's tight. There was one at the CU Nebraska game, which
Yeah.
I hate giving up anything to Nebraska, but the drone show, it was the mascot, and then it was the logo, and then it was like a football.
Drone
And
play,
then it was
shows
just
are
a
and then it
pretty
big
was like,
corn.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a big corn. It was behind us, so I didn't watch all of it, but I think those are really impressive. It's very cool.
All right, check out thednvr.com/events for more information. All right, back here on TDSP, Harrison Wynn, Mitch Carroll, Christian Saez. One quick note before we get back into the rivalry here. I saw this tweet from Coach Prime.
Whoa.
Can you bring this up, Yair? I think this was last night, and he said, praying for Utah quarterback Cam Rising. God bless you, your family, and your team. You're awesome. A resilient young man. I think Coach Prime got duped by fake Twitter.
Happens to the best of us.
It does.
The older you get, the more prone you are to it.
It caught me last week.
Because there were some fake posts about Cam Rising and his injury. This one is Cam Rising has grown infected and is showing signs of tetanus.
Yeah, tetanus.
Tetanus? Is that how you spell tetanus?
I don't know. I saw
Oh.
that same tweet though.
Utah Athletics is preparing a medical redshirt waiver for an 8th season just in case.
That was the fake one.
Well, there were other fake ones, like
Yeah.
his foot's getting amputated.
Hey, Prime doesn't have all his toes. I get it. He probably saw that and felt something there.
That could be it. Maybe that's the one he saw. But Coach Prime is so online that he got duped by this. And then he had a follow-up tweet saying, I was really bothered by thinking this kid was hurt again. God bless the trolls.
What a save.
Yeah.
What a save.
I just thought
maybe
that
he
was
was
funny.
just
God
trying to be
bless
nice.
the
You know, maybe
trolls.
he was just really thinking about Cam Rising in that moment.
Yeah.
Injury or not.
So if CU wins this game, I think they're going to have momentum again. Like, I think the season is back on if CU wins this game. I think the expectations will still be tempered a bit, but I think they have momentum again. I feel like they're going to like be back again a little bit if they win this game. They'll be 2-1, 1-1 on the road. Big 12 play still around the corner. Like, I think CU can save their season if they win this game.
I think the caveat to me is if they win, what does it look like? What type of win? Do you go into Canvas Stadium and do you just steamroll CSU? Then I agree. I agree that I think that, I think they'd be back. I think if this is a tight game and CSU ends up leading for, most of the game and CU kind of sneaks in a win's still good, especially in the rivalry.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it's a close game, I feel like there's still questions about CU's longevity. Now, you're right. It continues that question. It doesn't, they're not eliminated from the hype train completely if they win. But I do think it matters how they win.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm going back to what we were saying earlier. A rivalry game is, if you beat your rival, that's the boost you need, right? And whether that's on a crazy last second touchdown or you win by 50, beating your rival in your rival's stadium on campus at CSU, to me that means more than anything. The dub is the dub. In this specific instance, I do agree that there are games like losing to Nebraska, the way they lost to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Granted, they didn't give up any second half points. They made the right defensive adjustments, whatever.
But the story was written based on what happened in the first quarter.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in a game like that, I think the process matters more. I think against CSU, Rocky Mountain Showdown, you don't play again for 5 years. There's been all this hostility back and forth for 2 seasons now. I think you just got to get the dub and say it's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good take. And I also think there's so many variables in rivalry games like this that you don't get in a typical game against like a Baylor. Like a CU Baylor game is going to be, that's just a game.
Right.
Versus
Hopefully
a CU
a normal game.
Hopefully a normal game.
Right.
CSU CU game is there's so many variables, so many storylines. There's added pressure. There's added intensity to it. There's added hate. We saw the dirty hit last year that I think was, fueled out of just wanting to play intensely and hating your opponent. These guys freaking hate each other. They might be able to come shake hands after the game, after a week has passed or whatever. But these guys hate each other right now. That's very different than CSU playing UNC.
Right.
They don't hate each other. They're just trying to, play the game of football.
We're just in the same state. Same region of the state.
So, we just happen to play the same sport.
Yeah.
So,
but you're right. Course correct for CU, right? You go in, you get Baylor at home. Baylor does not look very good.
no.
Right. In fact, I would say they look pretty bad.
Do they?
So if you can beat
I haven't been
CSU,
saying- I haven't
if you
been
can beat
saying up on Baylor.
CSU, you can get, you get Baylor at home. All of a sudden you're looking at 3-1 and okay, maybe this guy isn't falling.
Yeah.
Right? If you lose to
Telling
CSU,
you.
you're going to have Stephen A. Smith saying that this guy is falling. You're going to have it's going to be on the front page of ESPN.com. It's going to be, it's going to be everywhere.
Shannon Sharp's going to be pausing his Instagram lives to talk about it a little bit. Everyone will be getting in on it.
So I think there's the pressure of, everyone calls it the circus. It's the prime circus. Everyone, they're the most hyped team in college football. A loss is going to be the exact opposite of that, and they're going to be the most roasted team in football. And I do think there's some pressure on that.
I wanted to follow up on this. If CU wins, do you think what do you think the boasting is going to be from CU standpoint if they win this game? Because we know CU, we know Shador with his little, show him the watch. Like, do you think CU really rubs this into CSU if they win? Or do you think because there's been so much talk about all of the conversations and the trash talking and all of that, do you think Prime is getting them set to do this more as like a business trip type of game where they just need to get the win and move on?
I bet that's what he'll say, and we'll hear him say that a lot, I bet. But when it comes down to it, if they win, they're going to rub it in their faces.
Like, how you can't not.
That's interesting because I feel like
I think
anytime-
a big reason why might be that line that came out about from CSU last night
Sure.
or two
Yeah.
nights ago.
To me, it seems like every time I see Prime talk, all he's doing is like praising the other coach,
Yeah.
praising the other athletes, saying how good they are. And I don't see it being any different after this game, whether they win or lose.
Well, last year
He
he
tends
had
to take the high road
Last
almost
year
every
he had
time.
the it's personal
Yep.
Sure.
mantra against CSU.
But like you're supposed to motivate your guys.
Yeah.
I'm saying if it comes to the talk after the game, I'm sure Shador will be flexing the watch at people because that's
Yeah.
what he does. But Prime, almost always, every clip I see of him is like definitely the classy high road version of what he could do, based
Sure.
on how many cameras are in front of his face all the time.
And I give him credit for that too. He sets a better example in how you respond in those situations than he could, And so I think I'm not really as confused or wondering about what is Prime going to do. I think it's just, I agree. CU, to answer my own question, I think CU, if they win, they're going to be all over this. I mean, it's a rivalry.
I think
Yeah.
both teams will.
Yeah.
CSU definitely.
CSU definitely. If
Like,
CSU wins,
yes.
they will they will dance on, CU's graves.
They might end the Prime era.
They might.
And look, I think both teams should be that way, man. Like, this is a rivalry.
Yeah.
Hate
You know,
each other. Do it.
They
This is
should. They
Baker
should react
Mayfield
like that.
putting the flag into, the 50-yard line on the logo, like that kind of thing.
Now I
want
want to make sure that the Buffs have access to a flag.
I was
to
just
go
going to
plant
say,
it.
putting the flag at
need
a
it.
50-yard line.
I need it so bad.
I know. Like, what would be the most disrespectful thing that CU or CSU could do after the game? A flag at the 50-yard line is great.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
Playing Shador's song as he walks out.
Oh, like
after
his
losing
song.
the game.
Yeah, but
Or
also I feel like
Braden Fowler, Nicolosi having a watch on after the game and hitting them.
or maybe even
Better
getting
make sure it's a nice one.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because that could turn on him real quick.
it's got Shadur's initials engraved into it or whatever. Yeah, that'd be good. I agree with that. It's got to be something watch related because the 50-yard line thing that's used, and that's whatever. But the watch is so easy to make fun of if you're losing.
Yeah.
If you're
I
winning,
know.
then you use that
I
all the
did
way.
see him run up. I don't even think it was him. It was like another player because we were up behind the end zone last weekend and a different CU player ran up to the crowd while they were all, everyone runs down and does their praying thing
Yeah.
or whatever in the end
Yeah.
zone. And another player came up and hit him with one of these. And I think the entire CSU student section will be doing that.
Oh, for
they're
sure.
Well, you know what would also
For
be
sure.
you know what would be a good troll by the social media team if CSU wins this one. Like a couple months ago, CU had that whole thing trending where they showed the video of Shador hitting, the receiver in stride in the end zone, but then cut to a different angle and it looked like he just threw it away.
Yeah. People
If
thought it was
someone, if CSU wins this game and they do a version of that for this game,
funny.
that'd be pretty good. I think that'd be
funny.
solid.
Yeah, that'd be funny. All right, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
How was the atmosphere at the Nebraska game?
Electric.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm sure.
True Fan Travel, who we've done a lot of trips with, I'm sure we'll be announcing some more here eventually. They have all these, they know all these companies that put on parties or put on whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so the freeway ends right down next to the stadium, right? So under the overpass is where all the RVs are and the
Gotcha.
big
Yeah, I've
parties are.
never been to Lincoln,
and,
so I don't know.
And so it reminds me if you've ever been to a Broncos Chargers game at Qualcomm, where it's kind of it feels kind of industrial. You're under the overpass, but the way we're part of this big tailgate that had full bar, MC on a microphone, tons of games, tons of TVs, snacks, food, and I hate to give it up to Nebraska. That's one of the things I hate more than anything on this planet.
Yeah.
Is giving it up to Nebraska. But their whole thing is being the friendliest fans to opposing fans.
That's their thing.
Ew.
That's their whole thing.
Ew.
So we're leaving the
Why?
stadium, just got beat down, and some guy's like, "Hey, I hope you guys have a great time in Lincoln." And I'm
Oh,
like,
God.
"Thanks, I hated it. See you never." Bye.
See, like that's a nice thing to say, but it's also an asshole comment.
Yeah,
dude, it's
totally.
like-
That's what I mean. That's
no.
worse. That's
Yeah.
worse.
Oh yeah, and it's like I would rather you put both middle fingers in my face and told me
Yeah.
to go do
I would rather
something to
you
myself.
pour your drink on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, God, everyone was hyped. Everyone was friendly. I mean, you had a couple people ribbing you, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes the third biggest city in the state on game day, and you could feel it. I mean, it was it was one of the most electric. I'm glad I got to go. It was one of those things that I was
They do
never
it
able
right,
to do.
it seems like.
And just to be able to be a part of, I mean, Memorial Stadium's a classic college football stadium. They've won national championships. It's it's a big deal. And it lived up to it. It was absolutely fun until the game started.
Well, and I want to follow up on your whole thing about it being a nice fan base, to opposing teams. We saw Shedeur leave the field early, and there was conversation about was he trying to get out of the way in case Nebraska fans storm the field? Do we think that if CSU wins this game, it is Shedeur, unless especially if it's a clear cut win? Do we think Shedeur tries to kind of get off that field as quickly as possible, given that CSU fans will probably storm the field? And
yeah. Did he? I don't know if did he leave because of an injury though.
I don't remember. That's what I mean. I saw people were saying that maybe he was trying to.
I don't
They
know.
were trying to get him off the
I
field
bet
for
CSU
safety.
storms.
I bet CSU totally storms.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if if
you have people in the comments saying that it's not an upset. CSU should win. They're the better team. You can't storm the field if that's your attitude going into it.
But it's a rivalry.
it's a rivalry game. Yeah, you storm the field. I'm like with RK on that.
CSU is storm-worthy.
Yeah, yep.
I think.
CU stormed Nebraska last year, and it was CU.
Well,
was
I mean, as a CU fan, we are the worst storming fan base in the, in
I
the
was
nation.
in- I was
part
at-
of it. Like,
We've had some very
embarrassing.
embarrassing storming of
I
the
was
fields
at a
in the
bus
past.
game
I will
0-6
admit.
against Texas Tech. They were 0-6, and they beat Texas Tech, an unranked Texas Tech team, and they stormed the field.
We stormed. I stormed the field. I stormed the field against a 1-3 Georgia team once,
Nice.
non-conference play.
Still
See,
Georgia.
that's what I'm saying. It's fine to storm the field whenever you want, within reason.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
sometimes
It's a
little
rivalry. You got to
embarrassing,
storm the
but-
field, though. You got to storm. It's on, especially on your home turf. You have to storm the field. And I think if it's not even just from a wins and losses, we didn't beat a ranked opponent or anything like that. It's just the hype, like you said.
Yeah.
You're potentially dethroning the prime era in Colorado. That's stormworthy.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. I don't want the Rams to win, so
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm trying
we'll
to
see what
talk
happens.
myself out of that right now.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with me on
course.
TDSP today. Thanks to everybody hanging out in the Toyota chat. Of course, we're here in the Toyota Lounge. Thanks to Yair for producing. And can't wait to watch this game tomorrow.
Love it.
Can't wait. Guys, leave a like before you get out of here. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Talk to you guys then.
We all silly like the mayor.